This whole session will be about bringing employer branding into the end-to-end candidate journey. And for those of you who have never met me, don't know anything about Cappfinity, just very briefly, we are providing, particularly in early careers, an end-to-end skills suite offering. And both Sky and Deloitte will share a little bit of their experience of working with us as we go through the session. But one of the things I guess I want to highlight is that whilst we do a lot of work on video interviews and assessments, really why clients work with us is that we're offering an end-to-end candidate experience. And that starts right up from preparation, whether somebody actually goes on to apply for a role or not, but runs then into development. And so this is very much thinking about talent right at the point of who do you want to attract, and then what happens to that talent as they go through that end-to-end experience, particularly those that you don't end up selecting and recruiting. So, without further ado, I'm going to ask my esteemed panellists, who I feel like we've been put in the naughty corner over here. So we need to get up to some mischief and trouble by virtue of being over here. But first of all, will you just introduce yourselves and say a little bit about your roles?
Hi everyone, it's great to see you all and thanks so much for having us. So I'm Lauren, I work at Deloitte, so one of the professional services firms here in the UK. I've worked in early careers for almost 20 years. I started out actually at Reed. I saw Reed here earlier, so I went to the Reed Business School and that's where I began. And after a little while at Reed Graduates, I moved into professional services where I've spent the rest of my career. I've worked across a few of the big four, so that tells you that I need to get a bit of a life. But I love working with young people. I love early careers. I've stuck with the industry because I love that we're making a difference. In my team, we sort of say we're not saving lives, but we are changing lives. And genuinely, I think that's true whether you're in a big organisation or you're recruiting 5 graduates a year. I think we've got the opportunity to really make an impact for young people. I'm really lucky to work with some, great talent in our industry, and we've just been commenting today about some of the familiar faces and what a close-knit industry early careers actually is. And that's one of the reasons that I'm really happy to be here today with you, because I've benefited from sessions like this myself as I have come through the industry. Outside of work, I am married to Liam, who works at JLR. I saw JLR around here too. He takes a keen interest in what we're doing in early careers compared to JLR. And I've got a little boy, Quinn, who is 7. And I was saying to Camilla and to Nicky, Quinn woke me up at 3:30 this morning for a glass of water. So if I'm looking a little peaky, that's why. It's great to meet you.
Hi everyone, I'm Camilla. I work at Sky. Been in the early careers team at Sky for 10 years this May, which I can't quite believe, but like you, had a couple of children while I've been at Sky, so a couple of years out. But it's a really magical place to work, and we'll hopefully bring some of that to life today. I always describe that I've had 2 careers, so half at Sky, and then the other half I worked in the charity sector. So the thread of all of it is young people, but the work I did before was working with young people from underrepresented backgrounds, a lot of work with young offenders, gang members, young people who needed support to get back into education and employment. So like you, super passionate about young people, and what's really funny is our ethos in our team at Sky is that we are there to transform lives. So change lives, transform lives, and again, early careers world, lots of people happy to share, but yeah, there's a lot of equity in what you're saying too.
Thank you both. So I want to ask you initially, before we get the audience more involved, but at this time, when, if we look at LinkedIn, particularly for early careers recruitment, there is so many things we can focus on, and a lot of worries and a lot of challenges. I think someone described it as the most challenging years, maybe even when they compare it to COVID right now. And employer brand could be seen almost as a luxury and nice to have, but I know speaking to you both, it's kind of a real critical part of your early career experience and journey. But would you just share what it is from your business's perspective that makes the employer brand critical and how it goes through your kind of candidate journey?
I'll go first. Okay. I think for us, it's although it is at the moment an employer market, if you like, in terms of volume of roles available versus volume of candidates, it's still about people making the right choice. And that's something that still really resonates with us. We want candidates to make the right choice. It's hard when you start a grad scheme or you leave straight from school and have to pick up not just work, but often study as well as work. So for us, the brand experience is about creating honesty, helping people see like realistically what is it like to work here, and that is something that's important. For us as well, our ethos is, look, you're going to spend more time at work than you are at home, right? And that is the reality for a lot of people. And we want students to feel like they can see themselves in the organisation. And we were talking earlier about the fact that assessment processes used to be quite standalone, distinct products where it was all about the assessment integrity and that was it. And the industry has just moved on so much from that now we're wanting candidates to actually learn more about our brand through that process. So you talked about that, needs identification, and that we have things like a prep zone to help candidates find out more about us themselves. But that's really key, that they see our people, hear our real messages, work-ready scenarios in the process. And, if they get that choice wrong, it's commercially for the business a big financial loss, right? If you hire people and they renege close to the start date, that's a nightmare. If you start them and you spend 2 or 3 months training them up and they drop out because they hate it, lost money. So it does make sense, and you can create a commercial story between investing in brand and experience and return on investment in your process.
You mentioned, just quickly before we come to Camilla, you mentioned this bit about the business wanting you to be honest, and we hear a lot about that at the moment, and it varies between clients about what that kind of honest bit needs to be. Are there, if you can share, this will be a very short question if you can't, is there anything that right now your business wants you to be particularly honest about?
I think
didn't prepare, but it's good to,
How I would frame it, and how I always talk to people about it, is it's a deal, right? You're going to give us a lot when you join. You're going to have to give us your time, your energy, your learning agility, and we need your passion, and you need to want to be here. Yeah. But in return, what will we give you? And we will invest in you. This is a great starting position in life, whether you stay on at Deloitte, whether you go on and become a client of ours. So it's that reciprocal deal, and that's what we try and tell them. I've got senior staff who say studying for their professional qualification to become an accountant is still their greatest achievement in their career. It is really hard work. And so that's the honesty that we want to give them, and actually let them see, like, it is actually hard. Like, everyone struggled with it. Yeah. But you get through, and you've got the right support and infrastructure to help you do it. And I think that is the honesty. Where people struggle is when you try and style it out a bit and try and tell them that the struggle's not real. Well, the struggles are real. Yeah. Insta memes will tell you enough about that.
Thank you. Camilla, why is the brand critical at the moment for you at Sky?
Yeah, so I'd agree with so much that you've said, Lauren. I think that I also really agree with the point around choice. So I think the employer brand for us at Sky is really important for a couple of reasons. So I often say when we've got young people in front of us, when we're running like launch days of kind of insight days and awareness of what we do, is, you can probably go and do the job that we're talking to you about anywhere. And for me, the most important thing is choosing where you're going to do it. It's really important that you find an organisation that resonates with you and where you think that you can be your whole self. And so for me, the employer brand is just absolutely fundamental, because I don't even see the people in the room as competitors, because I'm like, for some young people, Sky's the right choice, and for others, elsewhere is. And it's about, for me, really helping young people opt into who you are as much as it is about us working out whether they're the right fit for Sky and the skills we need, etc. So, yeah, for me, employer brand, absolutely fundamental. I think it's interesting for us as Sky because we're really well known, right, as a brand for customers, but we're not that well known. Our Sybil research tells us all the time. We are not that well known known as an early careers employer. So actually our challenge is making sure that we're doing as good a job of showcasing ourselves as a great place to start your career as we do of making sure customers know that, Sky is a great option for them, whether that's TV, mobile, broadband, etc. So we've actually got quite a lot of work that we have to do in that space. And so, we spend a lot of time thinking about our brand. We spend a lot of time as well thinking about, what are our unique selling points? So again, you talk about the give and the take. I think for us, Sky really, for the right people, is a really magical place to work. It's very vibrant, very colourful, very innovative, sort of new products all the time. And I think that there's a lot that we have to lean into to that. And I think that often what we realise we need to do is help people see what it's like inside, because people don't really know what that looks like. We often talk about with our brand making sure that we give people the same moment they get when they come into our offices. Like I always talk about, there's this moment where people walk in, especially to our headquarters, where you just get this moment of I talk about it as wonder, like people's eyes kind of open a bit more because there's the Sky News live on air in a glass box above your head and a cinema and quite a cool restaurant, but also a really diverse group of people and buzzy, and it's exciting. And we've got a real job to bring that to life for people because you can't see that in any other way. So we have to work quite hard on that. And we've had to also just really think about where we land our brand, where we meet people for attraction. Like for us, we do go to careers fairs, but that's not always where we're able to stand out most, whereas when we bring people into our offices and give them experience. So I think there's definitely something about not only utilising your brand to showcase your unique selling points, but also thinking about how do you land that brand in market in the way that helps you, for whatever your unique selling point is, stand out. And I totally agree on the point, sorry, just to add, that I think the brand piece is so critical that it extends beyond just the attraction phase. So for us, again, in the assessment space, our assessment is very highly immersive. I think it's there. Very highly immersive. It's filmed in our offices. You get to see meetings happen and then you respond to what's going on in those meetings. So we're trying to really immerse people in our brand, whether that's when we're meeting you or bringing you into Sky to get a sense, or whether you're going through the assessment process, so that actually by the end of it, you've got a real life preview of what it would be like. So you're opting in as much as we're choosing you.
Can I do a build?
Of course, go ahead. I'm redundant.
Just as I was listening to you, it brought back to me something around one of the challenges we face with brand. And it's when, I'm sure like all of you, right, we go out to try and get the top talent out there for what we do, whatever your specialism is. And you're hiring people, they're coming out with good A levels, they've done well at college, or they've done well at uni, they've worked their way through, they're top of the pile where they are, and they come in with that real sense of, we're going to rock the boardroom, right, at Deloitte, believe it or not, and they start again, they go back down the ladder, and they have to start learning a whole new way of being, whether it's a professional qualification, whether it's how to write a PowerPoint slide deck, whether it's how to condense a report into something a client can understand. And I think that can be a shock to them. And I think they see or have a perception of a brand. They see a really nice website. And we've tried to use our process and our marketing to give them that realistic preview. But we have this continual balance between the sell around what we do as a global organisation, which is cool, but also you as Lauren joining on day one on a graduate training scheme, you're going to have to work towards that. That is a longer term vision. And so we find there is that balance between, you want to sell the power of the organisation, but we've got to try and make it real for the individual as well. And we talk a bit about this hockey stick where they join up here and then they kind of come down and you hope to get them back up that curve. But that's just something as well, when I think about some of the stuff we've done, and I know we talked about this, didn't we, with our processes, we're trying to do that. We're trying to get that balance between the ambition and the excitement around an organisation like this, which the business love, but also make it really real for the person, because it comes back to that right choice.
You've both shared a bit about the process. I would love to chat a little bit about technology, because having spoken to you both, I think you have been really thoughtful about where tech enhance, but where people really support this candidate experience. Would you just share a little bit about how you balance that, the tension? Again, we are awash with the technology that's going to create efficiency, how AI is going to change the world. What are you doing in your business, kind of managing that balance? And where is the tech? Where is the human?
Okay, so yes, I think it's a hot topic, and I feel like I'm going to use phrases that I've seen other people use or post on LinkedIn.
No judgment.
I know, so they're not my phrases. But yes, we talk a lot, right, about tech-enabled, human-led. And I think that that's probably really important to us at Sky. And again, I talked earlier about recognizing what your unique selling point is. And we've talked before about the difference in our worlds on scale and therefore what we're able to do. And hopefully we'll bring that to life, because I think we all recognize that, is that everyone operates in different sizes and hires, and that differentiates what you're able to do. But, for us, I think where we've used tech really well is to enable us to progress all of our candidates through an assessment in an efficient way that allows our team to focus on the things where I think they can add the most value. So where tech's helped us is we've got our preparation hub, which is where we can help our candidates en masse experience and try some of our assessments. And that means that we're not just relying on where my team used to run lots of webinars to help upskill people. There's a platform now where anyone can go and they can try out our assessment. So that really helps us. Tech really helps us through our immersive assessment. We can process our thousands of candidates through really efficiently, but also giving this incredible insight. It allows us to get through all of those candidates and assess them fairly and quickly and efficiently. And it also helps us make sure that we're able to give personalised feedback reports to our candidates at different stages. But what I would say is what we hear from our candidates is the reason that they choose us is because of the highly personal, high-touch experience they get from us as they go through that process. It's not always because we've got the best salary or the best whatever, or even our locations, which can sometimes be, less exciting than central London. But it's because our team have wrapped around them from day one. So it's often the case that our team will meet someone at an insight day. They'll be the same person who may run a webinar that tells them a bit more about what to expect from the assessment. They're the same person they see on our social channels, giving them hints and tips as they go through the application. If it's someone with reasonable adjustments, it might be that same person in my team that calls them to talk them through what their really specific requirements are to make sure we can accommodate. And then it's those same people that they're on the assessment centre day, we're there in person, and they get that real care and that real lean in with our team. But not only from our team, when we're running those assessment centres, the business champions we work with are there. They're the assessors. They get to really know the candidates on the day. At lunchtime, they might meet some of our current grads or our current apprentices. It's a really high human touch process, and we're able to do that because our scale's not enormous, and that's the way we know we can stand out in market. So where others might have scale or be able to really wow people with an immersive experience or something, we don't have that same opportunity. But what we do have is the chance for our team to really get to know our candidates. And I think for us, we've got the efficiencies of tech, but we've got that warmth and that relationship that our candidates are then building with our team. And that's what we hear in our quotes. So when we get our feedback, the quotes I hear most often are they'll name people in my team and talk about how incredible it was that person helped them out so much, or this person in your team really put me at ease through the day, and it was amazing to meet the grads, and it really brought the role to life. That's why people pick us. And I think, again, for me, it's what's your thing? And then dial that up, whether that's in your brand, your assessment, whatever it is. And for us, that human engagement seems to be really important. And it's quite a part of how it feels to be at Sky anyway. So again, being authentic, it mirrors all of that.
And what about from your perspective, Lauren? What are some of the things you're balancing?
What she said. No, I'm joking. No, I really agree with everything you've said. And it's one of the things that we also have at the heart, right? Tech-enabled, human-powered, another slogan. But the tech enables us to reach people equally. And I think that for us was a big piece, that the prep zone, so we both have a similar kind of vibe, where we want to give people the opportunity to practice, to learn, to even think about where is their right fit within Deloitte before they even start. And also one of the ambitions that we had with this was that whether or not they even choose to apply to Deloitte, we wanted to give them something to help them out. And that's the ethos behind it, and the tech has enabled us to do that. Again, like you, the tech enables us to run a high volume process efficiently and commercially. And that's something that if you're trying to get investment, whatever your scale is from your business, they're going to want to see that and understand that. The tech enables us to answer the question around quality. Thinking a couple of jobs ago, a senior member of staff said to me, how do you know you're hiring quality? And the tech enables me to answer that question with a data-led way, which is really helpful. But I also agree about the human touch points, and that is something that, with the scale that we deal with at Deloitte, we really have to think hard about how we make that work. And again, the people that people are interacting with at every point in our process, whether it's an RPO that's supporting with some of our screening admin and talking to candidates, whether it's comms being sent through the system, whether it is the recruiter who is scheduling their assessment centre, meeting them on the day, the partners that are interviewing them, the grads who are coming to say hi. What we say is, like, every single touch point could be the only thing that candidate remembers about your company. And that is so important. You could be having that conversation for the 50th time that day, but for that one person, that could be it. And so that's really at the sort of ethos of our people experience. But I think it's tech with purpose. That's what I'd leave you with. Like, don't use it for the sake of jazz hands. If it doesn't add something valuable to the experience, don't worry about the fact that them over the road is doing it. Stick with what your company ethos is. And I think when tech started to build momentum in the industry, we all got a bit panicked about it and thought we needed metaverses and stuff like that. And, if that's your vibe, that's totally fine. But I think you can still achieve an awesome candidate experience without things like that. So I'd just say, don't feel like if you don't have this multi-million-pound budget that you can't be a tech-forward organisation when it comes to experience. It's just got to be tech with purpose.
Thank you. We're going to start letting questions come in, but as we do that, I'm going to ask you a question about budget. Clearly, it's a very interesting time, she says, completely cross, all the body language cross. Efficiency, budgets, everything is causing pressure right now. And there'll be many people in the room who envy the kind of budgets that you both have. If you were to give kind of a couple of pieces of advice around your learnings, what things would you share? And I'll come to you first, Camilla. And I'll put my glasses on for some of the questions.
So keeping it specific to candidate engagement, because I think that's really important. I think for all of us, probably increasingly, we're having to massively prioritise what we spend our time on and any budget that we do have. And I think there's probably, if I think about candidate experience and I think about the feedback that we get, I think that some of the most important stuff, and you mentioned this actually, Lauren, but some of the most important stuff is simply the back and forth comms you have with your candidates, right? Making sure that the comms that you have at every stage of your process are positive and encouraging and thoughtful of the time that people have put in to make sure that whether people are successful or not, they are left with a good experience of working with you is absolutely critical and can be done with no budget, but just great editing. And then the second thing I'd say that I'm always very mindful of, and I think that people are very grateful of in our process, is feedback. So anyone who comes to an assessment centre with us gets the offer of a feedback call, whether they are successful or unsuccessful. And I think that's magic, because we recognise you've put all that time in. And it means that whether you're successful or not, you're left with some really helpful feedback if you choose to take it that helps you be more successful the next time you go for something. And again, that takes resource. But I think if I think about what's impacted our candidates most and what they are grateful for, it's probably those two things that are minimal budget.
Thank you. I'm going to let you have just a minute on this because there's some hot questions that I know the top one you'll be able to answer.
So I agree with both of those things. I think the other thing I would say is the storytelling in your recruitment process is your gift to give, right? Yeah. In terms of creating the experience you want. That's reflective of your organisation, and no one knows your organisation better than your own people. So if budget's a limitation, employee advocacy and getting those stories from the people who do it and building that into your question banks, the scenarios that you use, that's a really simple technique to bring that experience up. In addition, because I fully agree with the ones that you called out as well, Camilla.
Thank you. I'm going to start some of these questions and I'm going to go super quick and just see how many we can get through. So first up, and I'm going to go straight to you, Lauren, on this one, which is around how do you keep candidates engaged from an acceptance to offer?
So really good question. Variety of different ways. So some pretty simple ones, social media groups that we put on LinkedIn. So we create LinkedIn groups for them, but we curate content in those LinkedIn groups so they're not sort of left to their own devices. We do webinars with them in the run through the months to joining. We bring in other teams to talk to them. So it's not just recruiters. So we get the learning and development team to have a chat with them, the professional qualifications team. We assign buddies before people start, so that's another great source of contact. Not all our communications are sort of worky stuff. Sometimes we just say, happy holidays, or good luck with your exam revision. We just check in with them regularly, and something we're hopefully going to do for next season is create some podcasts. So I don't know if anyone does follow me on LinkedIn, but we had some school kids come and do their own podcasts in our green room this year, and it was really cool. So we want to try and create a bit more content like that, just to keep it relevant for them. So that's some of the stuff that we do.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. I think this is a really important question, so well done to whoever asked it and then upvoted. We are finding we're having to spend more time and effort on Keep Warm than many other things. I think Renee's went right up for us over the last couple of years, so we were already doing quite a lot, I thought, in this space, but it turned out we needed to supercharge it. So I think a few things just to add on. We have lots of the same stuff. We think quite a lot about, again, can we bring people into Sky and them have a lunch with their team? That goes down really well. We try and make sure that if something new is launching, can we get them tickets or access to a live stream? So say we're bringing people into tech and we're having a tech summit, is a way of them accessing that. So thinking about existing activity that's going on in your business, is there a way of giving them access to that? We are lucky in that we're a TV company, so we give everyone a Now Pass for 3 months, which means they can just start watching our TV, which is awesome because then they get excited.
We're all applying.
So
literally, where do I sign up?
Think about what do you have already? That we've already
got a Cappfinity notebook.
Yeah, exactly. Send them a Cappfinity notebook.
I don't even have that. I've got a green dot.
Go to the stand. So I'm going to combine these two questions into one. The first one is around, really, if you were starting from scratch, how would you build out a program, but also something aligned to your business goals? So if we're thinking about pulling together candidate experience program, aligned to business goals, top tips.
For me, we were talking about this literally over lunch. I always start with what is the problem to be solved, right? If you want to get your business on the bus, then you've got to be really clear on that, whether it's external factors, so we're struggling to win the race for talent, or there's a skills shortage, or multi-generational workforce with different expectations, or it's internal challenges, we've got a cost challenge, or we need to grow certain areas of our business. You've got to align what you do in early careers to solving business problems. And if you do that, then you can create advocacy. And really, you don't want to build a program that actually doesn't solve a business problem because it'll run out of road. So that would be my top tip.
Yeah, I'd add to that I think data is critical. So whether you've got a team that look at your workforce planning and can give you data on where is the growth in your business or where is there a lack of skills, great. If you don't have that, do it yourself, which is what I did for years. Looking at like how many people you're hiring in, the attrition of those people, where have we hired them, get some data that says that there's a problem you need to solve. And then the other thing I would say, and a few of us were talking about this over lunch, is like just get a few senior stakeholders that are passionate about early talent and growing talent, because sometimes you just need the backing of a few senior people to get the other people on board. And as much as we'd love to always be able to do that ourselves, sometimes hierarchy does help.
Just linked to that, and we get asked about this all the time at Cappfinity. There's a question here about the return on investment. Be great just to, and obviously data-led, but what are the critical things from an ROI perspective that you think, particularly now, are important?
Okay, I mean, ROI measures are vast across the whole early careers landscape. If you think about attraction and engagement through to recruitment and then hiring. But I think key things, cost per hire. So if you're running a recruitment process, is it commercially effective? I would say for us, things like exam performance, job performance. From engagement, it would be reach. It would be applications, click-throughs on websites. From an assessment perspective, I'd be looking at the predictive validity of my process.
And you do.
I do. Literally this week. Fascinating session. But the predictive validity of the process, both to moving through the stages to offer, but also onward into the business. And that can be quite hard to do if you don't have the data infrastructure to tie that together, which we struggle with as well, being honest. And I think for things like your early ID programs, your conversions. So what's the problem you're trying to solve with it? What's the purpose of it? And then is it delivering against that? But I think it is really important when you start out to actually know what your measures of success are. Know what benefits you expect to derive from doing the work. And that's often a mistake that's made because it sounds like the right thing to do. We're seeing other people doing that thing, so we should do it. But be really, really clear on that, because again, then you will have the data to build the advocacy for what you do.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that it also massively depends what it is that your business are hoping that your program is going to solve, right? So one thing that we look at that may not be as important to other people is about the retention immediately post-program. It's really important to us. We've invested all of this stuff, so we want to retain them as guys. That's really important. For other people, they're quite happy to be kind of a training ground to fuel the industry more broadly, so that might not be as important. So again, I think really honing down into what is it that you're trying to achieve, and therefore what are the metrics that are important to you as an organisation. I think one of the ones that's really interesting is that long-term retention piece. I think that there's kind of a wavering view on that now. I think that used to be really important. Now I think the way that we're seeing people moving careers, etc., it becomes, not as important for some people. We're really interested in how might we, from some of our programs, create more people who are more open to more lateral moves across Sky. We're really interested in how we move people with agility and utilising skills. We move them into different roles. That's really important to us, but might not be elsewhere. So I think there's also something about just really defining what it is you're trying to achieve and then measuring that. But I agree with you. Early careers is so expansive that it's like you've got return on investment for your siloed pieces of kind of brand assessment, learning, retention, etc. But then you've got your overall bit. So it's complex, and we're definitely still on the journey. And I've heard Lauren say a few things that I'm like, I don't understand what that is, and I want to learn it. So just know that if you're like at the beginning of your journey, we're probably nearer that with you.
No, I'd just add, a really basic, know what each program delivers. What is the difference for your business between buying a school leaver versus buying a graduate versus buying a work experience? What does that give them? And is one of those better, worse, cheaper, more expensive, a tie-in to do the right thing? What does that do? That can be a really great starting point if you're actually going and looking at all the programs you currently do. Just another top tip. We could talk about this a lot. Keep us moving.
I know, and we will need to bring it to a close. So I want to thank you both. I have learned a lot about the importance of honesty and the authenticity of your processes, but also just how detailed you have both been in order to serve the business in the way that you have and bring to life this great candidate experience. So thank you for being so open with the questions. And we'll take any questions after the session. We'll hang around afterwards, but we need to crack on. Thank you.
Thanks very much.